Good evening, kings and queens. It is Lakeisha Sheree Jordan again, joining you guys live. And if you guys can read from the title, I'm basically wanting to talk about the fact that a lot of times we get so caught up in what we've been through, where we've come from, and what our circumstances was, that we start making excuses for why we are the way we are. First, I want to start by telling the truth, because I love telling the truth. And the truth is, you are your own individual. Just in case you didn't know, just in case you had no clue, that you are your own individual person, and you are a person that is capable of separating yourself from your circumstances, no matter what they were, and deciding that you were not going to become the product of your circumstances. Because most people don't even realize that no matter what comes at us in life, we always have a choice on how we are going to take it all in and what we are going to do with that situation. So this evening, guys, I will be talking to you guys about understanding that it is okay to not allow your circumstances to dictate your responses, because it is your responses that will dictate where you head in your future. So I want to first stop and say thank you all for tuning in. Wow, Walton, it's been a while. It's good to see you. Hope all is going well with you, sweetie. But I wanted to stop in and say that no matter what we have gone through, I'm sure all of you have come across those people that will say, I'm this way because my mother was this way. I'm this way because I grew up in the hood. I'm this way because they will have excuse after excuse after excuse, because that's really what it is, as to why they are not thriving to be the best them possible. You understand what I'm saying? So the thing I want you guys to start thinking about, whether you're in good circumstances or poor ones, the thing I want you guys to start thinking about is, how are you responding to the circumstances that have taken place in your lives? There are many people right now till this day going through grown adulthood, still holding on to circumstances that took place in their childhood. There are many people to this day right now that are out here abusing their children's, not knowing how to respond to adult conflicts, so they're being violent, men beating up on women, vice versa, because I always say, you know, what one does, the other one can do too. But, you know, and they will convert back to saying, this is just how I am. I saw my mom beat up on my dad. I seen my dad beat up on my mom. I've seen, you know, this, that, and the third take place in my life. I've been through this. Well, let me tell all of you guys something. When we are responding or reacting to our circumstances, that is the only thing that dictates what our future looks like. So for some of you guys that may be saying, I have no idea what the heck you're talking about. I've been through a lot. Nobody understands what I've been through. They ain't walk a day in my shoes. Some people, I wouldn't want to walk a day in their shoes because I refuse to settle for that walk. You understand what I'm saying? And I tell you guys all the time, if you guys are familiar with me, Lakeisha Sheree Jordan, aka Dorothy Washington, before I got adopted, Lil Dot, whatever it is you guys call me, you will know one thing about me. If you know me, you will know that my journey was something that was so full of more downs than ups throughout my childhood. A lot of violence, turmoil. I've seen things that till this day, I'm just like, thank God I'm not back there anymore. But when I look at my past, like my mother's violent history, you know, when I look at my past where a lot of the people that I was surrounded by weren't necessarily those encouraging, positive influences in my life, I sit back and remember also saying, I will not be this as an adult. From the time that I was little, whether I was in foster care, hurting because nobody cared, nobody was cheering me on while I was in the system. I got adopted by two people that I love very much. I really do. And they passed away in 2016. However, They were not my cheerleaders. If anything, they worked hard to tear me down emotionally. And I said, I refuse to be that parent that ever puts their children down, that ever gets in a position where I'm not cheering them on. So see, I was in the circumstance of negativity, but I decided that I had a choice in my adulthood to create an environment that would have suited me as a child for my children. I wanted them to understand that they deserve more than I received. So there's a lot of people right now that have gone through violent backgrounds. They were beaten, they were raped, they've gone through some things. I'll never take away from that. But what I will say is, that doesn't mean you're supposed to go around beating on people, raping on people, and doing things because that was your circumstance. Because that same energy you put into becoming your circumstance, you can put into saying, not you, you refuse. You will not take that circumstance and allow that to be your future. You can respond to that circumstance by saying, I see this, I hate it, I don't want it for my future. And do everything in your power to ensure that your circumstance is not your future. A lot of times we deal with things that we're going through, and a lot of times we cannot dictate what those things are that are going to come to us. However, when these things come to us, we have to always think about, how are we responding to these things? Is our response going to create more turmoil in our lives? For example, the people that will come face to face with someone that's combative. I had a situation today that I was so proud of myself. Oh my goodness, I was so proud of myself for the way I handled that situation. Because had I not dealt with it in that manner, it would have probably gotten way worse. So I recognize the first thing I want you guys to also think about is recognize when a person is in front of you and they are toxic, they are angry, they're yelling, they're being rude to you. They're not doing this because they don't like you or because it's something personal. They're giving you all they have. They literally are in your presence at that moment because they're going through some things, and for some reason they need to deflect this energy, so they want to make sure it gets to you. So no matter what you have gone through in life, no matter what you're standing in the midst of at that very moment, your response will dictate how that situation turns out. It will dictate what your future will look like. So if you're in the midst of a poor, abusive relationship, you can decide to stay. You can decide to be angry. You can decide that you're going to turn around and be an abusive parent to your kids because you can't take your anger out on that person that's abusing you. So now your children become the target. Or you can say, I'm not tolerating this. I deserve more. My children, my family deserves more. I'm going to do whatever it is in my power to not be this person that is tearing me down. I've worked mental and behavioral health for well over 10 years. I've literally, like professionally, I've worked for over 10 years. But I've also been in the realm of mental and behavioral health for well over 20-something years. And many times when I deal with people, no matter where they are in life, no matter where they are, I was born and raised and grew up in Harlem, New York City, okay? I've seen some of the craziest things in my life. I've actually gone through some of the most craziest situations in my life, you know? And at the end of the day, those situations did not stop me from continuing to decide I wanted nothing to do with those circumstances for my future. So as you guys are in the midst of situations or may come across situations and circumstances that are pretty compromising, they may make you angry, they may make you feel hopeless. Decide for yourself that this is not going to be your end all. This is not going to be where your future heads. You will not head down a road of depression. You will not head down the road of destruction. You get an opportunity to decide that your circumstances will not dictate where you're heading in the future. And in fact, you have an opportunity to utilize your circumstance as a way of saying, I'm going to have victory over this situation. I'm going to have victory for my future. I'm going to show my family, my loved ones, my kids, I'm going to show people that where you start or what you are in the midst of does not dictate where you are heading. See, because we have an opportunity to decide either it will be us or it won't. Again, we can't call what comes at us all the time, but we can dictate how we respond to those situations. So guys, every time you think to say, if he didn't, then I wouldn't have, what you're really saying is, I gave control to this person. If I didn't go through this as a child, then I wouldn't be this way. You gave control to your past. And I'm almost sure there's no one out here that's willingly saying, I no longer want control of my life. I no longer want control of where I head in the future. I'm sure there's many people out there right now that have been through very difficult situations that have decided they are not going to give up. They're not going to allow these things to dictate their future. Again, I want to thank all you guys for stopping in. I noticed my baby's on the line. What's up, Joey? I just want to make sure that you guys are always consciously aware of how you are responding to your circumstances. Because yes, you can give the common response. See anger, you're in the midst of an angry person and you respond in an angry manner. Many times that's what people are waiting for. They already know, because people are pretty predictable. They already know what to expect when they come to you with their nonsense. So therefore, they're looking for that response. But a lot of people don't know how to react or respond to a person that's not snatching the bait. That's not thinking, that's not responding in a way that would be considered normal. Guys, you are not a product of your past. You are not a product of your environment. You are not a product of your circumstances. You are an individual with an opportunity to decide what you do with what is given to you. Okay? So I want you guys to keep that in mind, and I want you guys to also stay encouraged as always. You do not have to conform to where you came from. You do not have to conform to being just like your mama or your daddy. You don't have to conform to being the abuser because you were abused. You can absolutely decide that you hated what you went through so much that you refuse to be that person putting someone else through what you hated. I love you guys, and I hope this message can reach out and touch your hearts and minds. Share this video if you feel like someone could use this message. If you know somebody right now that's saying, I do this because I went through this. I had such a screwed up childhood. Oh no, I'm violent because my daddy was violent. Stop with the blaming and start understanding that you deserve to be in control of what your future is going to look like. Allow that future to be a bright one. And I look forward to talking to you guys in the future. Have a wonderful evening.